Hi there, this is Steve from chordbook.com and welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking to you about the anatomy of the electric guitar. So starting with, there's three main parts of the instrument: the head, the neck and the body. The head of the guitar, otherwise known as the headstock, that's where you find your tuning pegs. Either on a Fender type instrument, you have 6 at the top. Some, like Gibson's, you have 3 underneath, 3 one side. They are responsible for tuning the strings. So the strings are attached to those tuning pegs and you turn them up or down when you're tuning a guitar. Then you may find a couple of little things here. They're called string trees. They are where the strings are fed under to keep the tension of the string. Again, you won't see them on every guitar, but they're quite common on Fender instruments and quite important. Then you'll have the nut. Now that's at the end of the head when it joins the neck. So the nut is how the strings are kept in position over the fretboard. So there's 6 slots, one for each string, and that's where, again, as you're playing guitar, the nut keeps them in place. It's very important. Moving on, with the neck of the instrument, that is made up of really 2 main parts: the actual neck itself, one chunk of wood, and then the fret or the fingerboard, the fretboard, which is normally a separate piece of wood placed on top of the neck. So the fingerboard, obviously where you're putting your fingers. On the front is called the fretboard as well, commonly. And the fretboard is where you'll find the frets, which are metal, and they are these lines here, which are how the notes of the guitar are depicted. So simply, when you put your finger on a particular part of the neck, the fret cuts off the string, shortens the length of what you're actually hearing, so that as you go up, the string gets shorter and the note gets higher. So they're the frets, and to help guitarists find their way around, they have dots in certain positions on the front and also on the top here. You'll learn more about those when you're learning the instrument. So that's the neck of the guitar. The body of the instrument, with electric guitars, they're nearly always solid. Solid pieces of wood like this, because they don't need to have hollow bodies or sound holes like acoustic guitars. And so the body, that's what makes the guitar have its look, really. The sound is generated by pickups. Now, all electric guitars will have pickups. On this Fender Telecaster, there's 2. You have one here positioned near the end of the neck and one on the bridge. And the position of these pickups is dependent on what the tone that you'll get from them. And how they work is, when you hit a string, the vibrations are disturbing a magnetic field which is created by the pickup. And that magnetic field disturbance is a signal which the electrics of the guitar turn into a signal, and that gets sent down your cable to your amplifier, and that turns that signal into an audible sound. So the pickups are really key in generating the noise. This is how they sound without a pickup, and if you turn the volume up on the instrument, you can hear the sound through the amplifier. So, as I said, Fenders and different types of guitar have different types of pickups. To choose between which one you're hearing, you'll have a selector knob here. Some Gibson guitars, when they have a switch here, or see other configurations, but commonly on a Fender there's a slider switch for choosing between this pickup, either having both on at the same time, or just this neck pickup. Most instruments, electrics, will also have a tone control, so your bass, treble, and a volume control. And when you're learning, really, it's best just to keep those both up, because you'll get a stronger signal. You hear that volume dropping off there, and also with the tone. So they're very common, and you'll see them in different configurations on different instruments. Now, the bridge of the guitar, that's this section here, where the strings come down and are fed through the body of the instrument. Now, they have saddles on the bridge. Now, the strings, a bit like the nut at this end, the saddles on the bridge are where the other end of the string sits over, keeps them in position here, keeps everything in line, and the bridge, again, what you'll notice on different types of guitar is different types of bridge. Some of them have bars attached to them, so you can do kind of bending the notes, like called a whammy bar or a tremolo arm, and this one doesn't have that. But again, investigate different types of guitars when you're choosing yours, or help you know kind of what the differences are. And then what you'll also find on every electric guitar, which is essential, is a jack socket. That's where the sound is fed down your cable and to your guitar amplifier. So that makes all the sound and really makes up the final point of the guitar. Again, hopefully that'll give you a bit of a basis to understand what the instrument's doing and what parts are made up of it. There's obviously a lot more to know than that, but hopefully that'll give you the right kind of introduction to it. Any questions, feel free to add a comment. I'm sure you can try and answer those, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.